DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Ta-da! Just like that, we're live. The magic of go next button.
Now I understand why the TV crews used to go 3, 2.
Well, I didn't want to break in and sorry.
Yeah, you never say 1. It's always 3, 2.
And then we're here. We're there. Good evening, everyone. We are here on our Monday night show to talk about the insightful things that Dan did this weekend. Now, we could talk about the fun things MJ did, or Shaney did, or the really boring things I did. But no, we're going to talk about the intelligent things Dan did this weekend. Yeah.
The intelligent things. Wow, that this was a nice weekend. And of course, I'm sporting, the Patriots because they won last night. So.
Show change, program change. We're not talking about what Dan wants to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about something else. We made it to the big weekend. The endless posts on the endless tweets and Facebook posts and Instagram things. Oh, I thought we were never going to get over this Trump thing.
My Facebook filters, I thought were going to catch on fire because I run this thing called the Facebook filter, so that if you put a post that has something that's in my list of words, that post will not show up in my feed. And I thought that thing was going to blow up. Because I'm like, the things that it's filtering out today between politics and sports and hashtags
and the politics about sports and
politics, yes,
it's just crazy. And we will talk a little bit about the halftime show. Our two main things we want to hit tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about halftime show, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about working with live performers on tonight's show. Yeah, I think we're about ready. We've got everything lined up. Our feed is going. We're looking great. Awesome. And Shaney is here.
Yeah, I'm here on time. I'm here. No issues tonight.
I was going to say, you've been late once.
Yeah, no, I have. And the hospital waits didn't count when I had an Uber home that one time. That was crazy. When I was texting MJ going, I'm almost at my house. I'm in the Uber. But in my defense, last week, I was on a conference call with a client and, she just kept talking. When you say, okay, we got it. No, we're good. All right. We'll see you next week. Yeah, that's great. Anything else? Just, send me an email. Well, and then my daughter, they just start talking about nonsense because you're like the therapist. And I was like, yeah, I have a live show to get to right now. Like it's actually happening right now, like literally right now. Oh, okay. So, they're having a sale at the grocery store and I'm like, yes.
We get to talk couponing tonight too. Oh, that's my new.
So I am all about the coupons, but remember, I can't go through self-check with my coupons for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. That was my thing this past week is that I got my first Sunday paper in the mail. I've been trying to get it in the mail, delivered out here for about 6 months. I finally got one. Newspaper, yes, because
meaning like a hard copy. Hard copy, yes.
Why?
Not online.
Because
some people like to read the hard copy. I still do.
Yeah, it's got the cartoons in there, but okay,
here's old school.
Here's the bad thing about that is that they've made the cartoons that now they've laid them out, and they used to be just big panel across. Now they've got it so it's down the side of the page and the small things, and it's like the type is so small, I can't see the stupid stuff. It's like
you can't pinch and zoom on.
I can't. It's like, what's wrong with this thing? Why are these people doing this? Are they out to?
You got to get one of those as seen on TV magnifying glasses that go over your glasses.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for that bad suggestion.
Or just
I'll wear that on this show. That'll be awesome, man. Oh, it doesn't look funny at all. You look great. Oh yeah, there's our.
wow.
Yeah, that deserves the thumb down idea. That's somebody gave us that art. They knew that idea.
Yeah, we got like 1 thumbs down already. What's up with that before the show even started?
All right, for whoever, I don't know if you're watching this or not watching this, and you give us a thumbs down, I challenge you to let us know who you are. If you really think that poorly of us, I challenge you to come tell us what we should do.
It's my hat, MJ. I'm sure.
Yeah, there's an Atlanta fan in the crowd.
I seriously challenge that. If you're watching and you put a thumbs down, why are you watching? You know, if you're putting a thumbs down, let us know why. Something.
Yeah, because we actually
that does a lot.
Yeah, because we go through our ratings and we go through everything, so we really would want to know what you don't like about the show.
And if it's just you don't like Dan's hat, well, you've got company. He's a big boy. He'll take it. Okay, so Ian had a question. Why don't we have DJ cartoons? It's because I can't draw very well.
Wait a minute. Not on DJ and TV, but in the disc jockey newspaper.
Yes.
And the online one, there is.
Yes. Jay, I can't think of Jay's.
That's darn near a cartoon, right?
That is pretty close.
That was awesome, though. I love that. That was the shark, the Katy Perry shark. That was awesome.
In the conversation, because Dan was like, well, who's going to be the performer in the thing, John? And I'm like, no, I was thinking like an NSYNC thing with all of us. And he goes, I want to be Justin. I'm like, well, fine. I want to be Left Shark. And that's how it became.
Dude, Left Shark was the bomb.
So famous for doing so little.
MJ probably, and maybe right now he couldn't, but at one time he probably could have done a break dance competition with someone.
I still do them occasionally. Yeah.
See?
And I DJ ciphers and everything, yeah.
I could clap out a beat along with you.
And then he said clap off beat. I was like,
yeah, I could clap. I'd be off, So did you guys see that it was a video of someone who was singing and playing a piano, and the video basically, he added a beat to it. He was singing along in a crowd. It was a European audience, and they were clapping on 2 and 4, and he wanted them clapping on 1 and 3.
well, Harry Connick Jr. did that.
That's
on
who
his. Oh, okay, yeah. Harry Connick Jr. did that. That he wanted them because of his music. He wanted them to clap on the counts that he wanted them to, not the normal ones. Yeah. And he got it. He got them doing it.
Do you know? I listened to that 10 times trying to, and I couldn't. I was always, because of their prominent beat that they were dropping and such. It's like I just couldn't find. I couldn't in my head count it the other way. And then all of a sudden it's like, all of a sudden it's right now.
I teach this class, John, called DJ 102, and it teaches you how to count.
Well, see,
along with the beat. My friend, I'm not going to say his name. Friend of mine, I went to hang out with him last week DJing, and he dropped a mix in, and I'm like, "You just dropped your downbeat on your upbeat," and he's like, "Shut up, man."
Well, that's the thing. I mean, everybody try to clap on 2 and 4, not 1 and 3, and see how awkward it is for people that don't normally do that.
You mean the other way?
Backwards.
Clap on 1 and 3, not 2 and 4.
Okay.
Because the natural is to go with the snare beat, which is always 2 and 4.
Did I mess it up? Wait, clap on. Yeah.
See, that's why it sounded right to me, is because it was on what would be the snare beat.
Yeah. Thank you. I was like, wait, 1, 4. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I cannot resist. Everybody, clap your hands.
So maybe it wasn't me because it's like
because I don't hear that enough in Chicago.
Can I honestly say something? No.
Okay, then next segment.
And see.
You've got to lie. That's all there is to it.
Yes, MJ. Yes. What?
Go ahead.
No, I'm not telling the story now.
No, we want to hear it now. Now the intrigue is killing us.
Forget that. Now we're going to talk about whatever.
I can't focus now. I'm just thinking MJ had the most incredible thing to say, and now we'll never know it. And it's all because of the hat, isn't it? I know it is.
Yeah, like I care about that.
Yeah, MJ, there was a football game yesterday. Football's that.
No, it was bookmarked around a performance that we're going to talk about.
Well, let's head there.
Super Bowl. I was watching Saturday's Supercross, so.
Not the Puppy Bowl?
No, the motorcycle race from the day before. So, gosh, where do I even begin?
Well, let's just start. Let's
think
just
we
start
should
at the
begin with
beginning
this.
of.
I think we should begin with this. Boom!
That was very
There we go.
impressive.
Yeah, the rooftop open. Yeah.
They, I think it was ADJ shared it first and then somebody else. They went through the schematics of the lighting. So if you are a lighting head, here's some of the schematics for the lighting that they put out and what they're running and trussing and how much trussing. There's 400 rails per section on things. Like I said, I don't know a lot about this, but you can see there is boatloads of stuff, where she jumped off of at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Second layer of lighting. Then we go into the rail lighting around the outsides, because that was something that was added actually on the thing that wasn't their stock thing. It was railing. Some up poles. That's the stage. And then we have those little towers, the lighting that was inside the towers too. The star thing with the star stairs that she jumped off of. The stage with more lighting pointing at it. And this is the list. This is a list of what was there. A lot of you probably, know some of these things. They are, I'm sure, on the very high end of lighting, but that's a lot of lighting.
The micro wash were used.
Yeah.
Color dashes were used.
So I bet that was kind of neat that they
The
released
Sharpies, yeah. That's what I was wondering, if that was the Sharpie, the incredibly bright moving heads and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get the Philips ones. Those are.
Yeah, this is something probably Ben Stowe should have been talking about, because it's nothing that I can help to expand upon. And
Oh yeah, he could definitely tell us about this. This is actually Nick Harris would probably be the guy who could tell us all about the lighting. Ben, it gets difficult, and just to give you guys a little insight, is that Ben being a dealer, he can't say, oh, that light's not that good, and I wouldn't use it. He can't say that because he's a dealer. So. But you're not going to have crappy lights at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is not going to. They're not going to have Dan and I up there with flashlights going, look at her shiny outfit.
I could have done all that for $500.
the audience had flashlights, though. Did you see that?
My kids were like, "Are those flashlights, Dad?" And it's like, "Yeah," but were they DMX controlled? I thought they were.
DMX controlled.
They were both DMX controlled, and the fact that they were moving them in unison, so they did have routines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
routines and that together was a lot of choreography.
So my kids were asking, do you, as far as the routines and such, do you think it was just that they practiced, or do you think there was signals, some way someone was?
It was both. They have, those people were all paid extras that they put in the front for the shows, just like they do for the Olympics and stuff like that. And they had practices for it. They didn't get paid for any of that. They would just got to be able to be on the field. And a lot of them are either from like dance companies and performance type places where they get all their people from.
For people who can clap on the 1, 2.
People who can clap on the right. And then they practice all the choreography. And then there's also somebody down there like leading them, kind of like the choir in front of them, like giving them the clues just in case they messed up, or somebody was like, hey, I'm gonna be that one person that goes to the left when everybody goes to the right,
Left shark.
Yeah. the shark. Yeah, the shark. So yeah, I mean, they definitely did practice that. They didn't practice it with her. They didn't have any rehearsals with Lady Gaga or their dancers, but they definitely had rehearsals where they practiced it and watched YouTube videos of what they needed to know and things like that.
So Clark said about the drones, there were 300 of them.
Oh my God, that was freaking just beautiful. I thought, word, but
when we first saw it, because they were talking like she was going to come in from the ceiling, and then there was talk that she might not do it because of the weather and opening the roof and the whole 9 yards. I thought that, I mean, I know it was pre-taped. We found that afterwards, but I thought that she was actually down on the ground and they had green screened it behind her, or that was the crowd doing it. I didn't realize it was drones until probably like an hour after the performance, and everybody's talking about drones. I'm like, what drones?
There's some incredible videos online of people doing choreographed lighting routines with drones that is just mind-blowing.
I mean, that blew me away. I mean, just the drones, that was awesome. I mean, that was totally creative, for something like that with the Super Bowl. And I mean, yeah, I know it was taped before, but still people don't realize that, and they did the whole effect of opening the ceiling and this and that and making a big deal about it. So for people that watching that aren't in the industry and don't know that it was taped, I just think that, for anything, I know people were talking online about their favorite Super Bowl performers, but as far as all of that kind of stuff, that was bananas.
Something I didn't see this year, at least I don't think that I saw it, was there was no video mapping anywhere.
Good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. There had been on the floors or somewhere.
Every basketball game you see now, they do it, pre-game and stuff down on the floor with the players' names as they're coming out and all kinds of stuff. But they didn't have any there. It kind of surprised me.
I wonder if it's because you had, she flying around and doing her thing, if they wanted to keep the focus more on her than the cool stuff. Although it was very interesting as we were watching the number of times that the camera is on her full body shot, and then she gets to a spot in her dance where there's going to be a pelvic thrust, and you see the beginning of the pelvic thrust, and all of a sudden it's instantly cut away to either a torso shot of her or a back group shot of her. There was not I don't believe in that as we were watching through, there wasn't a full, complete pelvic thrust in.
Will they shut us down if I play the video without?
If you played in a small, or the players should.
I just like hearing John say full pelvic thrust.
Exactly.
I wasn't analyzing it that close, John. Do we have to talk to Lori about this one?
Well, we're watching the thing, and she's doing her dancing, and all of a sudden it's like, boom! It cuts away, and it was cut away to. It was like, that was kind of a weird cut.
They did a few cuts. They did a cut while she was playing the piano that I thought was strange. They did one other cut, and I can't remember what it was that they did. And I'm like, well, that's an odd spot to completely not show her. Here is the droney thingy.
The droney thingy?
Yeah. This is just, I'm not playing the video because I don't want to get
Right.
No, we're fine.
We're here that it was just an odd thing. There's pelvic thrust right there.
There was one of them right there.
We'll go back. We can't miss them. But again, there's no mapping. There is, she has brought out the guitar, which you gotta love that. I sometimes forget that she is a very talented
musician.
She is really talented. She is. I mean, she really is talented.
Because that right there to me shows like a lot of pure talent when it's just you and an instrument, no hiding, no nothing. I really think they did great with that.
Okay, so let's talk about, did she lip sync the early part or did she not?
Which early part?
When she first came on, obviously she sang the initial part.
That part you mean?
The first set where she was dancing heavily. I think this was the.
That's up on top. You mean like that?
Yes. Notice how close she was holding the microphone when she sang that.
It's both. I can promise you that it's both. It is singing and a backup track, because you can see when she goes into choreography, she knows, and that's a trick that we've always done in performance, is that you have cues, you have leads. Leads will lead you into a note that if you have trouble hitting the note, because there was a section there, she was having a little bit of trouble. There's all kinds of things you do on that, things to assist you. When I did mine, because my show was energetic like this also, I had to plan sections in there to breathe, where I knew I'm doing something heavy here, I'm doing a dance, I'm doing this. I got to back off for this much before I get into this song, because I couldn't do this song vocally if I was breathing too heavy. Lots of things like that. So it's all core. Everything, every part of everything, every breath is choreographed.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some spots. Although she did much of it was live, and that was very, very cool to see. The piano certainly was live. The beginning, I think, was definitely live. But I was really surprised. I was wondering how she was going to handle. There was that political. People were wondering about. What is she going to do? What is she going to say? And I thought it was she just did a fabulous job with that side of it.
I just asked in the chat room just to kind of get everybody's opinion. I just wanted to know who liked the show. Not comparing it to Michael Jackson or Prince or anybody. I just want to know who actually enjoyed the show, because I know when they first announced that it was Lady Gaga, a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, Lady Gaga! How could they have her for the Super Bowl?" Blah blah blah. So I just want to see who in the entertainment, DJ world actually thinks it was a entertaining, good show.
To ruffle some feathers, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy it wasn't another freaking band. Some dude standing there playing a guitar. I don't ever want to see that again. It's a show. Let's have dancers. Let's have lights. Let's have gymnastics. Not some dude standing there playing guitar.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But she played a guitar.
but she didn't
So-
do it the whole time. She didn't.
No,
that
I
was-
know. I'm messing
And
with
she's
MJ.
a little bit prettier than some of those guitar players that they've had in the past. I'm just
And
saying.
who remembers seeing her in what 2008? Was it 2008 at
Promo only.
at promo only, and all of the comments we all made when she came out with that song, and all of us looking at her on stage and like, ugh, I would just hear. I just remember. I mean, I loved it because I'm creative, so I just loved something different. But hearing some of these DJs like, oh, she's never gonna make it big. She's, just hearing
Shani,
the comments.
I wasn't at that one. What songs did she? Do you remember any of the songs?
She did the disco stick one. She did that was her she did two. Did she do two songs?
I've heard the story. That was one of the nights I
Two,
think we went off and had dinner somewhere. So
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something I've said for years. DJs really have no idea about music because they're so passionate about it, but I don't believe a lot of DJs are actually in touch with the average person's enjoyment of music and how that they like it simplified, how simple, fun music is something they like. Like the rock and roll talking about there's only 3 chords, that's all the average person cares about is 3 chords, and DJs will get so intricate about stuff. I think that's my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I like the creativity. I like, artists that, move away from the pack and are creative. And, she came out like that. I mean, a lot of artists, when they sign their first record deal is when they get told what, this is the look, this is how you're going to sing, this is the songs you're going to do. And that's why I always hear from them later and say, now I get to produce the record I want to produce. I mean, she right off the bat, whether it was her team that said this is how you're going to go out, or it was her saying this is how you go out. She's better now than she was, but she was like that at the promo only party. She was crazy. I loved it. I love seeing stuff like that. But I remember all the people were like, "Oh my God, I'm never going to play that music. Never going to play her songs. She'll never make it."
Now that she did the Super Bowl, we have to start playing it again because people are going to start asking.
Oh, they're going to start asking, especially the songs that she played. The older ones. People are, the young crowd now is going to be like, "Oh, I love that new Lady Gaga song. When is it coming out?"
I thought that she did when she came out with the stuff that she had a big influence on bringing dance music back to the front again because of her disco style. Well, what we would call disco, and it's the steady beats from the 70s that then became house music. So I think she had a big influence on bringing that back into the main scene. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely was involved with that. All my Facebook feed as I was going through it today, not that I was on it all day, but when I was checking the cell phone, I only saw 2.
You were
2. I was running errands. I was at this and that and the other thing today. Ugh. Anyway, 2 people. One made comment to her music hasn't been relevant for 5 years. Why was she there? And the other was like, it was okay.
5 years. I don't know about 5. I mean, she came out with a whole duets with Tony Bennett that hit the charts. Maybe it didn't get radio play, but it definitely won a bunch of stuff. And she just came out with an album, 2-3 weeks ago? I don't know. Maybe it was a month ago. Well, I don't know when it was.
Video out. I do know that. And then like they said in the chat, Born This Way was another release just a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, just because she hasn't, here's the thing. This is the way I look at it. It doesn't matter if an artist comes out with a song right now or not, because I'm still playing songs that the crowd wants that are popular. I mean, okay, for instance, how many DJs still play I Got a Feeling Black Eyed Peas at parties, at weddings and things like that? That didn't just come out. MJ's like, no.
I was just going to say that it's...
MJ's like, no. Okay.
No, I play it. No, I do. But I was just going to say that I think she's a whole lot more relevant than Bon Jovi. You
obviously aren't a 40-year-old woman.
Or a 40-year-old woman that has teenage kids that ask for those songs at school parties.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, I get what some people are saying with that. I mean, I can't recall the last time I played it by choice, and I can't remember even the last time I got a request for one of her songs.
Right.
Where the Black Eyed Peas, I do. I still get a request for Got a Feeling. Nothing else, mind you.
Right.
But occasionally that song. So I get what people were saying. I think, at the time she was having the new song, it was a single that got dropped, and I think there was a little bit more hope that when she got signed, like this was going to be her comeback with the new song. And then it just, neither of the new 2 songs, the one she did on the piano and then the other one, really just did not pan out.
I haven't really looked at the news today because I've been crazy busy, but isn't she doing a tour now? Like, isn't she going on tour at like sometime 2017 that she just announced? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this yet, people.
I'm quoting right now. I'm putting it online.
Okay. Like, don't quote. Look at Snoops before you quote me now. No, but I think she is now. I think this, yeah, exactly what Dan said. And I think now she's going to do a tour, which would be great now for those fans or people who weren't fans, but then saw her.
I think Lucas.
I don't know if I'm right or not.
Lucas, I think, subscribes to MJ's theory. A song that's 1 year old is like dog years. It's like 7 real years in the DJ industry.
It is, but like I said, there's those songs like people are still playing, like I Got a Feeling and Pitbull songs and stuff like that. Those hot, like, gotta have now songs, yeah, those will come and go. But then you still have some of those other songs that were like our go-to songs that are always playing. I mean,
I promise you, if you go out the next time you DJ and drop Poker Face, you will have a crowd singing along.
Oh yeah.
But had she not done this?
No. I'm talking before the Super Bowl. I guarantee people would sing along.
Yep.
It's one of those songs like Ice Ice Baby. You can go, oh man, please, but everybody sings along with it. That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, but those are throwbacks. We're not like 90s. Yeah, I mean, I'll play Humpty Dance and everybody will go crazy, but
Throwback is 2005.
Oh my God. 90s. How about the 90s? I said
Throwback
90s
is
afterwards.
technically 5 years or older.
It's old school. Throwback is 10 years. So 2007 is considered throwbacks.
Okay.
What 5?
It's 5 or older now
Shaney, you're old.
for throwback.
Okay.
Where's that?
Considering, let's talk about throwing. This I did see online. Okay, I did see several people in the DJ industry comment on I wish I would have written down some of the names because we know them. Going, never drop the mic. That was like the comment.
Okay, here's the thing. For all those that made those comments, how do you know it wasn't choreographed? How do you know there wasn't a tech down there? How do you know, like, if everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I get it. For the perception, we don't want people at the bridal party doing it because they saw Lady Gaga do it. But for everyone was like, I can't believe she did it. How do you not know it wasn't choreographed for her to do something like that where there's like, 4 techs with pillows?
Oh, it totally was.
Union guys all underneath, like, all right, union guys, if you don't catch
Your
this.
job is to catch that mic.
Well, you can see the way she throws. She you can tell she throws it at somebody.
Throws it right. Exactly.
So it was definitely choreographed. But again, we don't see the person that catches it. And we know our average person that's going to be at the wedding who sees that doesn't even think that there's a tech. It doesn't matter. I'm spiking my mic.
That's like 2 things. Number 1, it's sad that DJs care more about the mic than her jumping
I was just going to say, yeah, they're all catching the mic, and then oops. Weren't you supposed to catch her? Well, with the mic.
First of all, she straight up caught that football. I mean, that was huge.
Yeah.
In front of everybody and TV. To know in your head, I have to concentrate on this freaking performance. And then afterwards, I need to not just catch a normal football, but wasn't it like totally bedazzled on top of it?
White bedazzled football.
It was like, and I have to catch
Lost in the light.
this white bedazzled football, like normal and not like, oh my eye, oh my nose, I'll never be a team model. And then realize after I catch it, not go like this, but like jump off with meaning. So, like, I mean, I applaud her.
So is this going to be a new thing you add to your show, Shaney, where at Mobile
Where
Beat, when you're mixing in the booth, and then every once in a while they'll throw.
She's gonna spike her controller.
Yeah, it's not mine. It's not my controller.
I can find that video of that guy doing that.
I don't know, John. If you're going to Mobile Beat, I'll post when my sets are, and you'll have to find out what I do at the end of my set.
Throw the football.
See, that's why I'm a firm believer in always have a super cheap mic with you at all times, because there's always that person you have to worry about. And that when I was doing some of the clubs and stuff, it was like, no, here's this mic. Well, that mic's not a good mic. I know. I've seen you before. You're not getting my good mic. Well, this is a corded mic. It's all you get today, buddy.
You're like, that's all you get is my corded
and
mic.
You wouldn't like it.
From the 1970s.
So it's a $20.
Doesn't turn off.
To this day works. I paid $20 for it. I keep wanting to talk to John and say, do we know anybody at Shure that can get me a nice Shure SM50? Because I have a really nice wireless mic, but the wired mic is at least 10 years old, and I literally paid $20 for it at Target, I think. So I bought it for that purpose. In case some stupid idiot at a club needs it for something, some of the performances and stuff we did. And it's like, no, that's all, you're kidding.
Well, that'll be a great bridge to one of our sponsors is American DJ, ADJ, which is part of the American Audio family, and they've got their new line of mics that actually are based on some of the popular. I don't know if I put the video up on the microphones yet, but price-wise, they would be mic drop mics, and quality-wise, they're supposed to be.
I don't even want to hear mic drop mic. Like I don't even want it to help. I don't care if it's a $20 mic. Like I just don't even want to see it.
It's fun.
It's
fun.
great. It's fun, but I don't want my guests thinking like
It's the new upsell. It's
this
a new
is-
upsell.
okay,
So here you go.
if that's an
For an
upsell,
extra $50,
perfect.
I'm going to
Yes.
let you slam my $20 mic down. You pocketed $30 just by letting him do that.
And for 100, not only when you slam it, but then I'll shoot off a confetti cannon while you do it.
There you go.
In my mind,
No, you'll throw them a football.
yeah.
No, that's
Right
150.
after.
We got to get up
That's
to 150 because you got to bedazzle that
And
thing.
then-
That costs a little extra
and
money.
then
Just for the bride's, side.
Jump up on a table, throw the mic down, you throw them the football, and they'll just jump into the inflatable raft.
That's it.
Got this.
I'm doing the football at Mobile Beat. I'm doing
This
I'll
is
say it
I'm
100.
gonna Heisman it. I'm just gonna Heisman afterwards.
Are you Heisman or dabbing?
Oh, I can't really dab it. I was told by some kids this
Dab.
weekend I can't really dab anymore.
Dab and Heisman.
They're off the dab. My
Oh, yeah.
my kids,
Oh, yeah.
my
Dab.
kids
Oh,
were
mine are
like,
still doing it.
yeah, my kids were like whoever made the comment, yes, no, we don't,
It's
we
over.
don't dab anymore. Yeah, for
Yeah.
them the dab is over. Now I told
So
them,
what
can
is
I
it
still,
now?
Can I still sneeze in my sleeve though? Because I was doing that way before the dab.
Sorry.
You know that's how it really started. He went to sneeze, and you're like, "Hey, that looks kind of cool."
That was like the Laffy
Lucky.
Taffy. That was like the Laffy Taffy song. They were, one night all together in the basement rolling some, what, and somebody said they were hungry and got candy, and they're like, Laffy Taffy, look what I'm doing with it. And somebody was like, "Are you shaking your Laffy Taffy?" And that's how the song became.
Well, you look at the Dougie. The Dougie. Yeah,
the origin of music. That's what we're gonna. Our new
Ask
game show will be
Shani. Ask
Ask Shani,
Shani.
the origin of songs. She'll tell us a story, and you have to decide: is it legit or is it?
not legit.
I'm
No.
afraid to ask her about the stanky leg right now.
Oh, I'll tell you the origin of the steak. So
No.
this guy Earl was in the club.
True story. The Dougie. Do you know where that came from?
Like the true teach me how to Dougie.
The dance.
Yeah, I'm like the truth. No, I mean I would make up my own story. How does that?
That's what I say. Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh, the rapper from the 80s.
Right.
In one of the videos, he's trying to do the Cabbage Patch,
Okay.
but he can't do it. And they're imitating him trying to do the Cabbage Patch. That's how the Dougie came about. Well, that was added. He did that too, but it was the whole other thing is them trying to mimic Dougie Fresh, not able to do the Cabbage Patch. I've got all these. The cha-cha slide. That was actually an exercise class for LA Fitness. They commissioned this guy to write a song and moves for the thing, and then it took off from being in their exercise class.
Because Casper did it in his line dancing here.
He was the one.
And they
Oh.
came back.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah, he
because he
created-
teaches. He
No, he
used to
created-
teach. Yeah, I'm like he used to teach line dancing on the South Side.
On just outside. Okay, so we're 36 minutes into our show, and we haven't gotten to our main topic yet.
Back to the mic drop. I don't care what you say. You could put up all the lights you want. You could put up, all kinds of great speakers and pay all this crazy money for stuff. But person dropping a mic is going to be something that's going to be remembered at a wedding long more than your lights. So I have no problem because that makes my show as a wedding, but I don't do shows as weddings. But if you're putting one on, that's your show, your production will be remembered for being entertaining or something like that.
Yeah, but are they going to remember you, or are they going to remember the best man who decided to spike your mic?
Doesn't matter. The whole thing is your show. So when you're putting that on, it's like putting on a whole show. It's like a rock star. It's like Lady Gaga. You're doing a wedding and you're putting on the show, and everybody there is part of your show, including the guy dropping the mic. So entertainment is entertainment.
So who was playing the guitar in the Katy Perry song when the left shark went nuts?
He was
You don't remember?
You don't have to, because the shark became the entertainment. That's part of your show.
Right. They remember the shark.
Yeah.
They don't care about the Katy Perry part. They're not going to care about you. They're going to care about the person who spiked the mic.
But you being okay with that mic being slammed is really going to go, man, that was fun.
I'm confused. Am I Katy Perry? Am I the guitar, or am I the shark? When they're
which
dropping
shark?
my mic.
In his analogy, my thought is the best man is the shark.
No, there is no shark. It doesn't matter if it's the shark or not. It's still the whole thing. You think of it like a circus then, if you want to think of it. Every person there can be entertaining and can be a memorable point, whether it be something heart-touching from the father of the bride or some doofus banging his head off the ground doing the worm in the middle of the dance floor. It doesn't matter. This is all part of your show that you're putting on. Just because it's not choreographed the way you think it should be by don't you dare drop that mic, but somebody going, bam, they had a good time.
Right, but how do you know someone else isn't going to do it before them because they just think it's funny?
So you have a couple of mics.
That would be the biggest.
That's the thing. Like,
I'm not saying to have them.
Right. I mean, I personally would never offer something like that because you're always going to have that idiot drunk uncle that's either booing the DJ because this song sucks. You know, when you have the pack dance for.
I've never had that, Cheney.
I've ever had that.
Yeah. You have this often, Cheney?
It's usually my friends that are doing it, not the drunk uncle.
Or, you know, you have somebody who, because they saw a TV show or, you know, Lady Gaga or something they think is funny, they're not telling you they're going to do it, but they're going to do the mic drop. And that's when they get the invoice of, you know, from the company that says this is how much the microphone costs. And if you don't pay it by this time, you'll be hearing from the lawyer.
But still, it's funny.
It's funny, but like, I know I personally would not do something like that, you know.
I'm not saying you would do it, but I'm saying you have to understand when you're doing these, you are the entertainment. Everything you put on, from every light you put up to every note that comes out of the speakers, is entertainment.
But that's not you doing that.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does, because it's not part of your show.
I'm not the star of a wedding as I'm DJing it. The bride is.
Right.
But,
but
you're not getting remembered for doing that. You're not getting remembered for being there.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Don't be afraid if somebody does that. That makes your whole night great if people laugh at it.
No, it makes that person's night great.
That's great. They're part of your night.
It doesn't make your night great at all.
Look, I get pissed off when people do this on a microphone.
Again.
Hello? I get pissed off on that. You think I'm going to be, so if I'm like.
What about whether you're happy with it?
So if I turn evil when they're doing this. Yeah, do the mics on. Like that's what I say. Like,
Shani, you do realize that's going to become something in our chat room now, don't you?
I know, of course. Not every week it's something. Did you guys see that one? Do it one more time. There you go.
I just want to say the other night when we did the 7,000 tutorial, there was a section in there where I said, all you got to do is hit this button and whoop, it works. And after I said it, I'm like, crap.
Look, everybody, y'all know me. I turn knobs, I hit things, and
she tests microphones.
And I test microphones to see if they're on. And it's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
But I definitely catch what you're saying, MJ, and I have to agree. And I would say for many DJs, that's one of the things they work into their price and why they would charge a premium service, because the best way to take something like that is if they do it and it's, ladies and gentlemen, the best man, Joe Schmo, and you get the crowd to go crazy because you want to take that energy to a new level instead of, what the heck did you just do? You know,
roll with the punches, and you will heighten the entertainment because you have just made your crowd connect with one of their own people being the star. Because people nowadays, because it used to be, what was the Ed McMahon show? Star Search.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now it's American Idol. So it was like, let's look at someone great, and now everybody wants to be the star. So you're entertaining. So entertainment is subjective to the people doing it. So if someone does that, roll with it.
It's fine. I mean, I had at one of my corporate conferences, you know, after the guy got done with his keynote speech, dropped it right on that stage, and you just hear, I mean, dropped it, and the whole place turned back at me at the tech table, and I was just like this. But the things that were rolling in my head, I mean, I was like, I mean, thank God at the corporate conference there, you know, I have I have like 4 handhelds, 2 lavaliers, countrymen, and this and that.
were all your texts at that point thinking, we're going to have to restrain her? We're gonna
seriously. And it was somebody that I never worked with on the East Coast before. So like, he just saw the look on my face, and I think he even like stepped back. Like he was like, I'm just going to walk back. Like I was like, when I go to jail, who am I making the collect call to? Here's a collect call from Shady. Somebody dropped the microphone and I got pissed. Like that was like my whole collect call, but yeah, it's like,
but Your Honor, he dropped the mic.
Right, but Your Honor, please look at it from my perspective. This is what I do for a living. Like, can I go touch your gavel? Can I touch your gavel? Okay, then. Are you getting mad?
Bang the gavel.
But it's like I had to roll with it because it was a keynote speaker, and it was somebody who they brought in that wasn't from their company, so it was like a big wig to them. So I'm in the back like, hey, yeah, that's so cute. No, it's not. But yeah, like I had to roll with it. But of course, like and I'm texting my company and I'm like, just want to let you know, we might get invoiced from our production company for one broke microphone, and of course, when everybody went to dinner, that was the first thing I did was ran and I got that microphone and, made sure, it was ruined a little bit, but they loved it. They were going, like MJ said, the entertainment aspect of it, they thought it was awesome. So now I'm going to go to their work and I'm going to bother them. And I'm just kidding.
I go to your job and mess with you when you're frying the burgers? No.
Spatula drop. Yeah.
But here's the point that I'm making with this, and I know I'm beating a dead horse. I'm going to anyway.
You're beating the dead horse with the mic. No.
Yeah. People that are there are going to remember that speaker doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
They're not going to remember Shaney's company having anything to do with that.
No.
It doesn't make her night better. Now, rolling with the punches keeps that energy going. I agree with that, but it does not make your night. It does not make you a better performance because they did it.
Everything that happens at your show is part of your performance, whether you want it to be or not. Everything is. Whether you want it to be or not. So the best thing to do is take everything and try to make it fun. Almost make it like you meant to do it even. Just anything's entertainment.
So that's the key, rolling with it, not
yeah, I mean, I could have been right. I could have been an ass and
give it to the guy and say drop.
Yeah.
Well, no.
but
when you said him doing that, I viewed it as they're going to remember me because he did this.
No, they're going to remember the night. The night is what you're putting on. It's a difference between me being up on a stage as a vocal artist and doing things, and me being a DJ for a wedding, because I should be almost darn close to background noise to everything that's going on. The bride should be first, the groom, everything in the center of that dance or everything at that table should be number one. I just assist it to look better. I bring it in and facilitate it coming in and out. And it's almost like an organizer. And I know a lot of wedding DJs hate that, but it's all part of your night, everything, good and bad. I mean, I've had nights where people come out, I bring people, because my shows, I had a lot of, and we could transition to performing with people. My shows, I brought a lot of people up on stage for dance competitions and different things like that. And sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes someone doing something terrible became great.
Yeah.
You just put your arm around them and going, you're awesome, dude. Seriously, and just you roll with it. And that, to me, something unplanned like that if the audience, goes crazy, you're like, hey, this is working. I'm going to smile and make it work for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's like anything that happens that is unexpected. We talked about that on the show before. You have to, we talked about like 2 weeks ago, you have to just roll with it. You can't sit there and dwell on it, whether it's a mistake or something. Yeah. In the back of your head, you're like, great, now I have to get a new mic. I have to this, I have to that. And, that's if people are going to start doing it. I mean, when the whole Obama thing happened, when he dropped the mic, that was like a hot thing for 2 weeks. Obama out, and then everybody was like, yeah, I'm doing that at the wedding, that was a big thing, and it's like, is that going to be now the next thing big for wedding parties and for other type of things that people want to do a mic drop?
Everybody in the chat room said they're going to drop my mic. And like I said, you're going to
use a mic.
You're going to get a $20 mic to drop. Feel free to. I'll be more than happy. I bought it for that purpose. And when you drop it, I'm probably just going to wipe it off or Lysol it and hand it to the next person with the dent in it to sound horrible because you broke the mic and they'll sound horrible. And I'm like, It's all on him. It's all on. It's why you sound bad. It's all on.
I'm gonna go to Walmart to the kids department, and I'm sure there's like those,
T-Pain Mike.
The Fisher Price
my
plastic one.
If anyone out there can find me a T-Pain microphone, because I cannot find it anymore and someone stole mine, please let me know and I will pay you. Don't get it on eBay. Like, I'm not paying crazy, but it's not that worth it for me.
Why?
But why? What? I want that T-Pain microphone, man. I just want to walk around Mobile Beat and auto-tune myself down the hallways. Just singing to people. Like at 3 a.m, just making up raps.
$33. You can order one online.
Is that how much it is? Is it $33 for the T-Pain one?
Someone has it for $50.
Oh no, I'm sorry, T-Pain, but no.
There's zillions of them on here. Holy crap!
There's an I Am T-Pain speakers.
They're on here for you can get those for $8.
They're 10 on Amazon. Yeah.
These are all probably used.
I don't want like somebody else's like spit and nastiness on that microphone.
I told you, man. I used to Lysol mics all the time when I was on tour.
I want a brand new T-Pain microphone spanking out of the box and just walk around and just start singing songs to people. I totally would do it too. That's gonna be our new thing at Mobile Beat. Where it was at DJ Expo was like, find one of us. You have to take a selfie.
You have to sing into the T-Pain mic.
There's a T-Pain app on the phone. That's got to be.
Oh yeah, no. There is a T-Pain app. Trust me. My friends and I were up till like 4 a.m. one night, like drinking Ciroc. We were drinking Ciroc and we were making songs about everybody we knew. And next thing you know, it's like 4 a.m. and we all had to have sleepovers because their wives are like, don't come home now. We're like, oh, okay, we didn't know it was 4 a.m. Yeah, there is a T-Pain app on like I think the Android phones because that's what he had, and we were having a blast
everywhere.
on it. Yeah.
I'm going on a boat. I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take T-Pain.
Funny.
I'm gonna bring. Then I'll bring it to a party and just do my opening announcements with it. My ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gonna mini map into my microphone in the controller now is T-Pain effect. So when I hand them to someone, flip on the T-Pain effect. Roll with it, dude. Roll with it.
Roll with it. Like I just want to give it to the kids for kids' speeches and stuff, and so they can just auto tune themselves. I'm telling you, I'm gonna. If someone can find me that for like $25, done. Done.
Okay.
And I'll bring it on the show too.
You won't have to do the whole night with T-Pain Mike.
I'm going to bring it on the show, and I'm going to bring it on the show, and I'm going to keep switching over. Should he have anything to say, I'd be like, yes, I do. And I'll just T-Pain it. Yeah.
I'm going to download the app right now. Dude. I won't. I promise. I'm not going to do that. Andrew's laughing because I said I'm going to mini map the mic. I'll mini map my breakfast.
Mini map is fun. He's like, look, my Lucky Charms, I'm gonna mini map those.
Mini map them in color coordination.
That's like Ben Stowe DMXing his coffee maker. It's just gonna happen. It just does happen.
But it's just one of those things. I look at a lot of the technology and I go, I wonder if I could do this. And it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. It's great. Because it's just curious. It's like a hacker. It's just you're curious if you can do it, or a person fixing a car going, I wonder if I can modify it to go 10 more miles an hour faster. It's I don't know. I just have fun with it. Anyone else? Bueller?
Anyone?
So live performers.
So yeah, we have 4 minutes to talk about live performers.
So back to DJs working with live performers in 4 minutes or less.
Man, and I downloaded a bunch of pictures from when I used to tour. We can't even show those.
Actually, during the mini sessions, we had Tom Heath and I talked a little bit about he was a violinist. And he was trained and such, and then he had some time off, but he's gotten back into that, and he has that for ceremony, and sometimes using it during the dinner time. Not that that's working with performers in his, but there is, I think, a move. You've seen drummers being used at different events, bar mitzvahs and things, teen dances, some large teen dances. I think Arnaldo has had some where he's had not only a couple of different DJs who are spinning, but he's had people playing instruments, whether it's a percussion set or something else at those dances. And I think that live element to it is probably a lot cooler for certain audiences than others. But I think it's definitely something out there that we need to be aware of, because it might be making a transition into different areas.
In 19 in 5. No. Do you remember a band way back in the day called Prodigy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had Firestarter and
Firestarter.
Smack My Ex Up. I DJ'd in a club, and this was the booth for the club. Okay. And for the view from up there down, if I can find it, is there. Okay. All right. I had to perform a couple of nights with the drummer from Prodigy. And I had that much distance to communicate with him. He was standing about here, and I'm up in this boothy area up here. That was the booth where the fog is coming out of, the DJ booth. And had to work with him on several nights and cues of when I was switching things and he was switching things. And it was probably one of the more uncomfortable of all the different things I've done with live bands. I used to have a lot of churches that would have me come in and scratch along like once a month on their youth night on Wednesday nights for their praise and worship. I've worked with quite a few things like that, but this was probably one of the more awkward ones that I had, to where management said, yeah, work with him. And I'm like, what do you mean work with him? And the guys just cue me when you're switching songs. And I'm like, what the heck? But he had this thing that was this scaffolding that went around him, and he stood up, and he had the drums everywhere. So he was like this the whole night. It was crazy. But
wow.
You never know when performances can jump up. Shani, did you have to? I saw the picture.
You saw the picture. So you saw the picture I sent you guys. The drummer was not even anywhere near me at all. We could not even see each other or communicate with each other at all.
Wow.
Here is
yeah.
Here. But that's what I'm saying. But you guys had to work together, though, right?
We had to work. Yes, and we're actually friends. So yes, yeah, we had to work together. And in fact, one of my our warehouse manager, my main tech, is actually in the chat room right now. He was actually backstage behind the curtains the whole time, popping his head in at me and everything. So we had monitors, like he was plugged into my system. So, his monitor, we had, his monitor, then my monitor, and also the screen. I was doing live videos. We were doing live feed. We were doing her logo. We were showing them on, we had the switcher. So I had to also yell back at Chris, switch to 2, switch to 3, switch to, it was crazy. But usually I'm used to having the percussionist right next to me. So we vibe with each other. We could see each other and we're vibing and we're going off at each other. I couldn't see him at all at this event. That's just the way we set up the party. So it was kind of like he was in his own thing and I was doing my own thing. And, thank God, I think it worked out. I think the party was a success, but, thank God for DJ monitors and, monitors for musicians, because he had to work off of all that. But I've also, worked with clarinetists. I've worked with violinists, live singers that just come out, different other types of, you name probably the instrument. And we've done it on our events too, where they actually go through the crowd. So we have to mic them up in their instrument where they don't just stay stationary. They're walking through the crowd with their mics and stuff like that, playing off of our music. So you got to have that vibe going. It could be a train wreck. It definitely can be a total complete train wreck if you don't have the right type of person that, has ever worked with DJs or even know the music. Because a lot of drummers are different than percussionists, and drummers really don't know the pop music and they don't know a lot of the music that we play on parties. They're into, whatever they're used to playing. Yeah. So all of a sudden you're going into the bubblegum pop and stuff like that.
Drummers tend not to be able to follow someone else because they're used to them. And that's always driven me crazy. It's no, this beat is the one you follow.
Right. Exactly. And that's why you have to make sure that vibe is there when you're working with the live musicians, and it's not just them, it's one thing if they're just coming out, they're performing on their own and they have their own little show and then they leave. But if you're selling it to the client where, hey, our DJ, our whole show is working with the live musicians to enhance your party and give you a different element, you got to make sure whoever you're interviewing with or you have, you got to you got to try working with them before you send them out on a show, because MJ said, certain drummers, they're not used to taking the lead from a DJ. and going off of their music, especially if you're mixing and you're mixing like this. And once they get in the groove, you're totally changing it up and you're going somewhere totally different. And they're looking at you like, what are you doing to me?
Yeah.
Like,
This is Nashville. We had a performer and a guitarist that night. So I was playing the performer's tracks, scratching along with the performer, but there was a guitarist, he's not in that picture, that was playing right along with us. So we had a live guitarist in with the band. And that was interesting because he does have to follow. And like a drummer who, like I said, there's between a drummer and a percussionist. Percussionists can follow anybody. Drummers tend to wonder why no one's following them. Because that was like the old joke. What was the last thing the drummer said before he got kicked out of the band? When are we going to play one of my songs? But there's so many aspects to it. Like I said, I've gotten to perform with a lot of different artists, both vocally. I did a lot of vocal. I used to do a tour, like you said, Shani, about mixing music to where we did this one that was kind of like a live mixtape where we had different artists. Instead of an artist doing a 20-minute set, an artist doing a 20-minute set, we went from this artist to this artist to this artist, and it was a live thing.
Oh,
and
cool.
One guy who was
so cool.
It was like the cool thing was everybody got along, and it became that everybody on stage was everybody else's hype man. So this was a picture of one of the things, and I don't know why my thing keeps doing that. So it's like all the different performers on stage, and everybody else is the hype man giving stuff going on in the background. But it's an interesting thing working with a dynamic like that, because the one promoter's like, well, why can't you mix the songs, like a DJ mixed them? I'm like, yeah, let me tell one of these vocal artists that I'm going to change the BPM of a song he's been performing for 4 years. They will punch me in the head the first time I touch that. I had to honestly on a lot of them have them trust me to scratch over the songs, because they're like, no, I can't hear my beat. And I said, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm going to highlight your lyrics. And after a couple of times, they're like, oh, that makes sense now. I hear it. So it's a dynamic. Dan, you were talking earlier when we were doing the chat about, that you've had only good experiences. So tell us about your good experiences.
Well, I'm not, when I'm dealing with performers, usually it's in a ceremony system or a ceremony setup, or it's somebody's coming in during cocktail, during dinner, they're playing individual, and it's just that. And so they really kind of come to me and like, hey, we just kind of need some amplification. How can we plug in? How can we hook up? And I know about it usually in advance. I would say at least 95% of the time, I know in advance that they're wanting to do this. I don't let just anybody, but I have been sprung on by the bride. Oh, by the way, last minute, my cousin, decided to do this for our gift, and we wanted to do it. Okay. One of the big things that I've done is I use one of my line ins and have it actually connected so that if somebody brings me a guitar chord, it can plug into my line the correct way, and I can then play it out through, and then they can use my microphone. And now it's like we've always had it planned. And because I had an empty line on my controller, it's just been something that I had, and I hooked it up the first time I needed a guitarist hooking in, and then it's just been something I've always left just for that instance. So my experience has always been good because we're not trying to do it together. Like what you guys were talking about, we're playing, and while somebody's performing, I can only imagine. I've seen it done, and my jaw drops every time I do. I can only imagine what has to happen for that to go smooth. Mine's been they're performing, I'm playing sound guy. Now they're done. Now I'm back to my role.
Yeah, sure. You're the one making sure their levels are good. That you could hear it. Everything is good for their show. Like, yeah, you're their sound guy, basically. Yeah.
And that's my role. And for what I'm doing with it, it's great. And like I said, if you don't have something hooked up like that in your system, if you've got an open line where you can do that, I encourage it, because it's the same idea as if you have an open line out to hook it up for your videographers so that they can get a sound for theirs. It makes night and day just for that response, just for that working relationship, just to make it go even smoother.
No, totally agree.
Yeah, if you ever do work with artists and you find yourself needing to work with them a lot, go and get a direct box. That will help simplify things when it comes to connections. It just does.
No, exactly. You should always just have it in your, like, you know how I was talking about like that emergency kit. You should just have a DI box in there. Just, it doesn't matter if you use it or you don't use it, just in case, for the same thing that Dan just said, that 5% where he doesn't know, or just for that clarity of sound of, plugging them in, and the sound just, it's a game changer. And from that little tiny DI box, it really does.
And I'm really starting to think that we also need to add a T-Pain microphone to our system.
Of course.
Because
doesn't everybody have one?
A drink.
Oh wait, Sheeny doesn't.
I don't have it.
Not yet.
I want it. That was on my. I should have put that on my Christmas list.
You should.
MJ.
We did.
When you guys asked, when we did our Christmas list.
Has a live thing with.
Screw the needles that I asked for. The unlimited needles for the turntables. I want my T-Pain microphone.
The night that she does, where she gets the T-Pain microphone and does it live on the show, we have to pick a super serious subject.
Or just ask me a super serious question.
Like how do you build a touching moment between a father of a bride?
Like,
how do you deal with that death that just happened 2 days before the wedding?
Well,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Shani's going to talk about the death of the family now.
This is serious, people. Why are you laughing at me? Me. Reverb.
Cool. We need to wrap up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we are after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, your guys' time. Wow.
Yes.
I have like 20 more pictures to share.
No.
I'm sorry. We got into our other topic and...
It was all good. It's entertainment. This is rolling with the punches. If we never would have gotten to this, then fine. Because as long as we were entertaining.
Ah.
You guys learned how not to hit a microphone for me instead of turning knobs.
And the DI box thing is, and somebody asked about passive or what.
Oh.
I just picked up for my show. I have picked up 4 $20 DI boxes that were fairly well reviewed on Amazon. You can pick them up if you want a real one. You talk to Ben Stowe and get a real one. But there's some cheapies. They're $20 and you can throw them in your bag. And if you lose one, who cares? Now, for my sound system that I use that we go mobile with, that's where I got a DI box. I've got 3 different ones that I use with that show. And those are the more expensive ones. I think they're about $55 a piece. But what those have is they've got additional inputs with that and different switches and things on there. I'm not up on that. That's where generally the band members are like, oh yeah, I need this and this and this, and click and boom. And then on my board, I can click and we're good to go. So yeah, you can check those out. Good stuff. Any last thoughts?
You just did a mic drop in the chat room.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah. MJ just did the mic drop. And scene. That's it.
Deuces.
Let's see. Coming up.
Cue my outro music.
Coming up this week, we've got tomorrow night Ben Stowe. We're actually going to be talking about inexpensive microphones that you can use for your mic drop, which is kind of ironic that we got into that. But Ben's going to be discussing that tomorrow night on our show.
That's funny.
Then Brian will be coming up 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern. Then Wednesday night, we are going to be going through. MJ is going to be showing us the MIDI mapping he does with his controller and how he customizes it. A lot of you have Virtual DJ 8 and it works with the MC7000. Well, MJ...
And wait, I was going to say, which controller is that, MJ?
That would be. Although he's done the 6000.
I'm going to show you both mapping on the controller and mapping on the computer keyboard. Because if my controller dies, my keyboard is mapped to do everything the controller does.
Now, see, the keyboard would be cool because there's times where I would like to just go click, boom, instead of...
Alt buttons that do things. Alt effect, alt pause, alt sync, alt this, and I'm even going to MIDI map my chapstick tomorrow night.
I'm looking forward to that. That's Wednesday night. So that'll be Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. At 10 o'clock Eastern, we're actually going to be introducing a new show, a social media show. Jared Wade's going to be doing if you saw during the mini sessions, he talked about all sorts of different social media options out there. Well, he's going to be talking about a couple of different plugins that could be used with your websites and social media, and that will be starting at 10 o'clock Wednesday night. So we've got a pretty big week. Then starting Thursdays, this week's the video's already been released, but starting Thursdays, we're going to have the Bill Herman show is going to be returning to DJN TV. So he's got his kind of his teaser, his introduction show is out there and such. And we'll have links for all these going out in emails later. But every Thursday afternoon, Bill Herman's show is going to be going live, which is called
Bill.
Creative License, which he's going to be talking about a lot of things for performers out there. So, yay, that's our week this week. So, Shani,
Go DJ NTV. Yes.
Shani, Dan, MJ, thank you much. Gang, we'll see you tomorrow evening. Have a good night, everyone.